What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the garage. Welcome back to another project on the Subaru that is taking way too long to finish. I've got a quick little install for you guys today. Hopefully it goes quick, but it seems to be one of those popular mods, one of those ones that everybody seems to be doing, and it kind of came out of nowhere. At least I didn't know anything about it until I'd seen a lot of people posting on it, and a lot of companies starting to come out with little kits, and that is the Cylinder 4 cooling mod. So there's a few different companies that make kits. I think the Get a Dom one was the original, and now Torque Solutions makes one, and you can also cobble together your own little kit pretty easily, which is kind of what I'm using. So I'm using a kit that Boostbarn, the place where I get all my parts from, put together, and it's a pretty simple kit. I think it does have some advantages over the Get a Dom kit, but essentially they're all pretty much the same. It just comes down to the fitting that goes into the block. So I'll show you the kit here and how it's a bit different from the Get a Dom one, and I'll also show you some of the tools and stuff that you will need for this. So here is the kit. It doesn't come with anything really fancy. Just comes in, you know, an envelope like this. At least mine did. And here are the parts and pieces. So I am using the Get a Dom instructions. So this is what the Get a Dom one looks like, and they do tout that this fitting, you know, is a specially machined fitting, blah blah blah, whatever. And it is clamped right onto the fitting, so you do need kind of like a crow's foot to actually tighten this down. So this kit comes with a brass fitting that's kind of like an ORB on one end, and then kind of, I don't know, AN on the other. And then it comes with this guy here, which is just like an AN fitting. So the nice thing about this is that you can screw this right into the block and use a socket to tighten this down. And then, you know, it just comes with your standard hose and a brass T-fitting like that, and a couple hose clamps. So for tools, what I found to get the plug out of the back of the block, or at least, you know, get on it, is a long extension and a decently sized ratchet, because at least mine was on there pretty tight. I've seen videos where guys just kind of, you know, with a little wrench and it comes right out, but that must be edited or something, because the one that's in my engine is extremely tight. And then you will need a 12mm Allen key socket to get in there. So one other thing, so this is recommended by the Get a Dom kit, this hydraulic sealant, and it resists vibration and heat and all that stuff, and that's what's recommended in the Get a Dom kit. So I'm going to use some of that on this fitting here. The main thing is like, if you use like a other kind of sealant or like thread tape, it might get into the cooling system, which you don't want, whereas this is okay. But that basically covers that. So let's take a look at the car and see exactly what we have to do. So moving over to the car here, you'll find your coolant or heater core hoses. It's these two going into the firewall right here. Of course, if you've got an intercooler in the way, it might be easier to remove that first. Let's get a bit of light in here for you guys. So, and then what you want to do is find where these two hoses connect to the hard line. It's kind of hard to see here. Maybe you can get a better view there. But if you can see here, one hose is, or it connects into a silver tube, and then actually goes to the crossover to the other side of the engine. And the one other rubber hose goes to a black pipe. So the hose with the black pipe goes right to the water pump, and that's your suction hose, and that's the one that we want to splice into. And next I'll take you under the car and give you a look at where that plug is. Hopefully you can see it. So you can see that big hex plug right there where my light's shining. That's the one that we want to remove. But before we start taking out fittings and cutting tubes, we want to drain our coolant, which I've already done there. And that's easily done by just removing the clamps on the radiator and the water pump. Once that's all drained, we can crawl under the car and undo that large hex fitting. Alright, so that's kind of the setup that I've got there. And full disclaimer, I did actually loosen this before. So this isn't as tight as it was, but you know, I did have to push this in there really hard just to make sure it didn't strip, and use a lot of force on this to get it out. But it should come out pretty easily. I think there might be some Loctite on there, I'm not too sure. But also be careful because some coolant might come out of there. Let's see if I can get this out by hand. Still show you guys. Couple little drips, but there we go. All right, so I'll add some of our Permatex 5450. Just add a little dab like that. Hopefully that's not too much. Now, I think this stuff requires 24 hours to actually cure. But if you can't wait that long, you can use a 1-minute gasket maker. But since this car's not getting started anytime soon, I'm not really worried about that. So I might as well use what Getadom actually prefers to use. But yeah, if you need to drive your car right away, you can definitely use a 1-minute gasket maker. Just make sure the threads are all clean and yeah, it's applied properly. So back under the car, you can see the fitting fully installed with the 90-degree elbow here. And actually this elbow here is quite nice because you can kind of point this in a direction away from the steering linkage, whereas the other kits, the rubber hose comes straight out and actually goes quite close to the steering linkage. But if I can show you here, with the way this is pointed, we will have a better line to the hose that we need to splice into. And yeah, overall, quite happy with the choice of components from Boostbarn for this install. And remember, when you are tightening this brass fitting or whatever fitting you have into the block, make sure not to over tighten it, because just remember that this head is made of aluminum, so the threads are aluminum and they are going to be quite soft, and the last thing you want to do is ruin these threads in in the head of your engine. So just be careful, just snug it down, don't reef on it or put an impact on it. Snug is good enough. Alright guys, so got the fitting all installed. A little bit hard to see. Get some light on here for you. So there we are, spliced in to the return line. And you can see This is the hose here. Nice clearance away from everything. So just be aware that when you do cut that line, you are gonna get some coolant leakage. This front bit here is out of the water pump, and then it will leak out of your return line. So just be aware of that, especially if you're trying to cut this from below. You can see a bit of leakage there. And then there is the fitting and the hose coming out of the block. So all in all, really nice. Having that 90 there makes this routing quite a bit nicer, because it does get quite far from any of the steering linkage or anything that moves. So that's really nice. So at this point, if your car is drivable, fill it up with coolant and just go through the proper filling procedure. But as you guys know, fortunately mine isn't going to get started anytime soon. But I do have those nice silicone Samco hoses to throw on, so I'm just going to do that quickly, and I'll give you guys a look at what that looks like when it's all done. Man, that was a bitch. All right, there we go. Final little piece there. If you notice, I don't have any clamps on here just yet. I'm not too sure if these clamps are good for the silicone hose. I don't want the ends to turn like this, so I might spring for some of these nicer clamps that they show in the sample package here, or maybe some vibrant clamps or something a little bit more mellow on the silicone here. But this looks really nice. This looks like a lot better than the factory piece, and will last a bit longer, or will last quite a bit longer. And here's the bit down here. So there we go. All right, guys, that wraps it up for today for the Cylinder 4 mod. All in all, it's actually a super easy install. If I didn't have to film this probably would have taken me about 10-15 minutes. Maybe a little bit longer if I had to jack up the car, but I don't know, ballpark, let's say an average person could get this done in about an hour and be back driving on the road. So this is an easy weekend project to do. Not a lot can go wrong, so yeah, you don't really have to worry about that. But yeah, we're one step closer to getting this thing driving. I feel like I've said that a million times, but anyways, thanks for watching.